Hello.
Hello, Kim Babcock. How are you doing?
I'm good. Elisa, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Everybody out there, I had the honor of meeting Kim's lovely children, Cassie and Kay. They are so adorable. And now my granddaughter's like, "Oh, can I Skype with Cassie?"
I know Cassie's been saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
Hi, Mama. He's blowing your kisses.
He does like to blow those kisses.
I'm good, he
And we
says.
have this one.
Oh, there's that baby. I love
Aloha
that
dong.
face.
All right, Bella, you stay off of my keyboard.
She's so sweet.
So today I thought it'd be fun. Well, I don't know if it'd be fun, but a lot of people have been telling me we should talk to my higher self. I'm almost afraid to. I feel like bitch slapping her for putting me in the position she's put me in, man. But
Ah,
can you channel a higher self,
Eric goes,
Eric?
yeah, who? You?
Yeah,
Mom,
me.
your higher self.
Yeah.
He goes, you can always channel anybody's higher self, whether they're physical or non-physical. Had my first experience with that yesterday.
Oh,
So,
really? Tell me.
yeah, I have a recurring client. Hello, Cynthia, if you're watching. And she wanted to connect to somebody. And, it's interesting because without that person being present in the session, Eric will only allow so much to come through so as to not invade privacy, I guess.
Oh, that's sweet,
Um,
Eric.
but it was good. It was really helpful for her. And, after the session, she just left me, inspired to continue doing what I do. So it
Okay.
was really good.
Cool. All right. Well, let's bring in Elisa, the higher self. I hope it doesn't like thin out my brain or make my IQ drop like 100
Eric's,
points.
he's laughing really hard. And it's so funny when he laughs, he like puts his hand on his chest like this and he just
Uh-huh.
kind of like laughing. And, oh, are you ready for this, Mom? He says.
Yeah. I got a bone to pick with her.
He's laughing. He's laughing. Okay. All yours, he says.
Oh, what do you see,
Um,
Kim? Do you see anything or is it just a
I
feeling?
do. No, I do. I see like I'm shaking because the energy is so um I have to get a feel for it first before I can describe, but I can
Okay.
tell you what I see. It's a mix of pink and blue, like
Mm-hmm.
almost lavender looking.
Mm-hmm.
Um I feel this is the best way to describe it. I feel threatened by the wisdom. I'm like, whoa.
Well, she has it all then. Dang. Share a little bit, girlfriend.
Okay. So she's okay, she's starting to talk about the different dynamics of her, you. Um, it's really hard because she's talking with pictures. So hold on. This is so weird.
That is weird. I think everybody should talk to their higher self.
Everybody should.
I really do. Everybody out there, book a session with Kim and channel your higher self. See what's up.
It's pretty amazing when people do. She's talking about the different accomplishments within the soul that you've already achieved and what you're continuing to learn, what you're continuing to work on. Time and space are a real thing right now in your head. She
Hmm.
says figuring out time in correlation to the space that it's in is where you are in your learning process with the soul right now. She says so. Figuring out not necessarily where you belong, but more so, she says, Eric he's just laughing at me. He's like, why are you so threatened? Why are you so intimidated?
It's just me, little old me.
It's so funny, but it's just like, it feels like so big and powerful.
Well, that's what higher selves are like, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. She's just talking about how um, feeling
Oh, cat
that
fight in the background.
I
Uh-oh.
can hear it. Oh,
Oh, go. Get him. Get him.
man. Um, the relation of time and space and you being in it and what that means to you in this physical life. Um, she says, you're here in this physical life to learn. No, not to learn. She says to experience the different dimensions. And it's almost like testing your pushing yourself. Like, how far am I going to go with this? I'm going to try. I feel like pushing yourself with crossing the veil back and forth. You know what it feels like? It feels like astral travel, like
Mm.
coming in and out of the body. And it's like each time you push yourself a little further, you test a little further. But somehow she's saying that's related to your scientific mind is working on grasping that in itself with time and space related to it. So,
Mm.
um, figuring out, she's going like this. You're very analytical in the way you think about things. So she says, figuring out the way you can travel through dimensions or even change things with energy. Like you're really, she's saying, working on and fascinated with quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she also says that this is really bizarre because this stuff was going through my head last night.
Of course, the word bizarre connected to me is not a stretch.
Okay. She's talking about how also the whole purpose, a larger purpose for this incarnation, um, is about obviously, you shared with thousands of people, the way that you were raised, it being, militant atheist background, and having life experiences propel you into the complete opposite. And that in itself is that stretch that I was talking about, like pushing yourself a little bit further to experiment or to believe or to experience. Thank you. Erik goes, you're doing good, Kim.
Aw, your little
So
cheerleader over there.
he's such a doll baby. Um, so that also in this incarnation was really important for you because she says you needed to experience and like have the conditioning of the atheist background and have that like as a part of your foundation to be able to basically, I see you like an onion, and then all these layers start to come off and start to fall off because it's okay. Now Erik is chiming in. um, finding finding the true self by shedding everything that all the layers that have been put on you. So the way that you've been raised, the way that you've been conditioned, basically you have to shed all of that to really find who you are, and that's the process that you've gone through. And
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because your higher self and Erik are speaking in sync, so they're saying the same thing at the same time, um, in that you intentionally came in with that, knowing that you would be raised with the atheist thought process. And then, it's funny because then Erik makes me feel like then it became free will. Then that's where free will was this huge window for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you started to shed those layers and actually really, truly find who Elisa is. Um, and then your higher self says, Elisa knows who Elisa is. So through that shedding process, I guess, she's saying that you have connected deeper to who you are. You know
That's
deeper
true.
yourself. But unfortunately,
Uh-oh.
she says it's just um, what you had to go through to get there.
Mm.
And that's the loss of Erik.
Yeah.
And no, he goes, don't use that word. You didn't lose him.
I know.
But the
Lose the physical
way,
Erik. Right.
exactly.
Right.
Um,
Did I have to do it that way? Did I have to have an extremely abusive childhood? to peel back those onion layers? No wonder I cry all the time. Onions.
You're an onion. Um, you didn't have to. Um, this is one of Eric's favorite things to talk about. Can he get on a soapbox for a minute?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, because this is like one of his favorite things to talk about. He says people are so concerned with their destiny and falling off their path to, reach their destiny.
Mm.
He says ultimately, no matter what you're destined to achieve, that's your contract. He says no matter what you're destined to achieve in life, free will can change the colors of that path.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so no matter what you were supposed to achieve, Mom, if you're shedding, the atheism or what have you, you could have learned that through any avenue. You can't change the fact of what destiny is for you in your contract. So it could have been different, but it's just what you chose.
Ugh, why did I choose to
Coming in.
a true self, Elisa? Why did you choose a life full of so many losses, not just Eric, and so much hardship?
She's talking about the purpose of what you went through with Erik in specific. And she says, not just to teach you about spirituality and to open your mind to spirituality, but literally the way you've used that in itself to help thousands, because that's a part of your purpose, to share that story because it is so relatable to so many people. So that's why you also have that as a part of this experience, is because you then knew you would share that. That would be your window to spirituality, and then you were going to share that.
Okay.
She says, basically, it's like to bring what she shows me is basically you having followers, like so many people follow you because they relate. They're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
But also, she said because of your bravery, you are brave enough to share what you've been through. A lot of people would be paralyzed. So
I think it would take bravery not to. I mean, to me, it's easier to share and open myself up than to keep it inside and let it fester. That would seem like it would take a lot more bravery.
She smiled really
Or
sweet
effort
and
maybe.
yeah, and she got really bright and said, "That's why this contract is for you."
Mm. So what else does she look like? Does she look like me, Kim?
I see like this. I see physical features that are similar to you, but I see more of the aura, and it's
Oh,
on the inner. On the inner, it's white on the inner, and then it's blue, and then like a pinkish purple.
that's what I was told. Somebody read my aura, or several people have, and they say that my aura has pink and blue. And what does that mean?
Erik says he's bigger than you. I don't know why he wanted you to know that. Like in
Okay.
height and in
Yeah,
aura
I
size.
believe it.
He's like, tell her I'm bigger than her.
Size matters. Size matters with guys.
He goes, thank you. Okay, so the colors. What do the colors mean? Um, well, this is coming from your higher self. It's like this pink that fades into this purplish lavender, and that represents um, this is she says this is your window to spirituality. So this represents the spirituality in you. She's saying people that aren't as spiritual are going to have darker, like warmer colors, not dark as in black or negative,
Mm.
but like deeper tones.
Okay.
And your tones are very pastel looking.
Okay.
So the purple pinkish color, she says, is your window to spirituality. That's all the spiritual. So then the blue is, oh, that's interesting. I never knew that. sense of self. So
Mm-hmm.
you are connected to higher self. You have a strong sense of who you are. And then um, Eric, he's Erik. The
Oh, he's
white,
Erik.
the white represents your source,
Mm-hmm.
where you come from, and Erik goes, "Duh, that's the divine."
Yeah. Okay. So, do you hang out with Erik very much?
um, it's funny because they're looking at each other, seeing who wants to answer. I guess they're both going to answer. Um, that's funny. Erik comes to your higher self a lot for questions, for answers, for guidance, for
Right now
constant.
or all the time?
Erik says all the time,
Oh,
for
cool.
constant companionship, constant communication.
Oh,
That's how you hear me,
awesome.
Mom. He says, that's how you hear me. It's like, okay, he's giving me this visual, like, okay, this is the visual he's giving me. Like down here, I have this little, like, rectangular shape thing. We've got plants in it, okay? And up here, um, there's a water source, there's water coming down, and there's like these tubes that, the water trickles down
Mm-hmm.
and nourishes the plants.
Hmm.
So Erik connects to your higher self, and that information trickles down, and that's how you hear me, Mom. That was a
Oh,
very difficult.
that's how I hear him channeling myself or
That's
through
how you
you?
know yourself. He
Oh,
says
okay. Okay.
that's how you know I'm with you. That's how you hear me, you see me, you feel me,
Hmm.
is when I come into your higher self, when I
Oh,
talk to you.
interesting. Well, that's fascinating. So,
And he says,
go ahead.
real quick, he says, those who have that ability to attain and maintain a connection to higher self will be able to hear me or anybody else
Oh,
better, especially from the other on the other side. He says, because if we're in contact with your higher self and you're in
yeah.
contact with your higher self, you're going to make that connection much easier.
It's like a
He says.
telephone line. Well, how can people do that? Oh, go ahead.
Says exactly. It's like a telephone line.
How can people be, excuse me, connect more strongly to their higher self?
Mom, it's easy. This is from Erik. He says complete self-acceptance.
Mm, that makes sense.
He says, when you begin to criticize yourself or judge yourself, you are separating from your true self, your higher self,
Mm.
the true essence of you. And the more, especially women, he says, men have a higher ability to just accept themselves for who they are. Women don't. Women are much more critical of themselves.
Yeah.
He says, so if you find yourself able to completely accept every flaw you have that you don't really like, but you just accept it anyway, meet yourself there in that acceptance. You're connecting to your higher self in that process because he goes, higher self doesn't judge, higher self doesn't need any of that
Mm-mm.
information. Like this much ego is involved that you do need to be able to distinguish a sense of self,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about it. He says, but other than that, all that is wrapped up in ego, and that separates you from your higher self.
Yeah, I don't have much of an ego. I love my flaws. I laugh at them. I trip all the time. I open doors instead, I pull instead of push. My
Well,
mouth just
good.
goes off without really thinking, and I say the silliest, nonsensical things that you can imagine. So yeah, it
Well,
gives
good.
people a
Then
laugh.
you and I will be like this and we're
Yeah.
together. I'm the type of person that falls up the stairs.
Oh no. Yeah, me too, actually.
Oh,
So true self. What do I call you, actually? What's your soul name? I mean, your spirit name, if you have one.
she just says me. Don't think of it being a name other than
Okay.
you because that will create a feeling of separation. If you think like,
Oh,
oh, if it's
yeah. Okay.
Kristen or Ashley, she says that will create a feeling of separation, feeling like, well,
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah.
it's not completely me because that name's different. So think
Okay.
of it just self, me.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Well, so one last question before we close. What do you think about our boy Erik? Aren't you proud?
You know what she says? Very, very emotional. She's giving a lot of love. And you know what she said, how she described him in one word? Sustainable. Able to self-sustain. Okay, this is fascinating. She says because of his purpose, Erik stepped out completely because he wants her to be the only one present to answer this.
Oh,
Interesting. Um,
she'll start blushing. That's why.
she says, yeah, I mean, wow. He was like, okay, anyway. Okay, she says, because of his energy and his purpose and the type of energy he is able to, he's very high. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but she says like archangel kind of
Okay.
high. And she says,
Wow.
that in itself is self-sustainable. It's very close to God's source, the type of energy he has. So because of his purpose, he has achieved that because of she says, his diligence and dedication. And it is completely selfless, his intentions. Every time, all the time, I hear those cats. um,
Ringo, be quiet. He's such a baby.
she says his purpose is so grand, like on a larger scale, um, that he is able to sustain himself. It's like he doesn't, not really sure where she's going with this, but she says he doesn't need any outside energy to sustain himself
Okay.
energetically.
Wow.
Um,
Interesting.
very strong, very powerful, very selfless. And then she says, I cannot believe from where he was in his physical life and his emotional development to where he is now, the change.
Oh, gosh.
She says, you don't see that often here. The way that, typically when they go through what Erik did on the physical side and passed away, similar to Erik in a, tragic sort of way, there's an immense amount of recovery or like rehabilitation that needs to happen. And Erik went through that, but he went straight to source.
Wow.
He knew what his intentions were, what he wanted to do, and he went straight to God's source to heal himself so that he could continue to help people. She goes, you don't see that often here.
Oh, I'm proud of Erik.
He's blushing. He came back in and he has a hat on and he put it down real well.
Oh, Erik. That's amazing, Erik. No wonder you do so much good for so many people. Well, thank you, Elisa, other Elisa, main Elisa, whatever, true Elisa. We'll talk again.
She's just saying love. She's just giving love.
I love you too. I forgive you for throwing me in the hot skillet. I'm just kidding.
She's just saying it's all for the greater good. And she's
I
saying,
know.
you've done well. You've done well, she says.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you, Erik, for bringing her in and for being who you are.
I love you, Mom. He's
Love you
just
too.
smiling.
But thank you, Kim. And guys, I'm going to list information about our upcoming tour. Starts June in Denver. If you want to talk to Erik and watch Kim trans-channel him, and we're going to talk about so many interesting things. It's going to be life-changing. So
Yep.
be there, be square.
I can't wait.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.